Hey there, investors. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just dipping your toes into the market, today's story is one you won't want to miss. Today, we're diving into the wild world of Intel, a company that's been at the heart of the tech revolution for decades. This ain't your grandpa's chip maker anymore. Intel has transformed from a humble chip manufacturer into a global powerhouse, shaping the way we live, work, and connect. We're talking about the brains behind your computers, your phones, maybe even your toaster someday. Their technology is everywhere, quietly powering the digital age. Intel used to be the undisputed king of chips. They were on top of the world, raking in cash, and everyone wanted a piece of the action. Their chips were the gold standard and their dominance seemed unshakable. But lately, things haven't been so peachy. Intel's been losing ground to rivals like AMD and NVIDIA. They've had some production hiccups, missed out on the whole mobile revolution, and investors are getting antsy. The competition is fiercer than ever, and the pressure is on. The tech landscape is shifting fast, and Intel's once unquestioned lead is now under threat. New players and old rivals are pushing boundaries, forcing Intel to rethink its strategy and innovate like never before. The big question on everyone's mind, can Intel regain its former glory? And even more intriguing, can their stock price skyrocket to a mind-blowing $1,000? Is a comeback story in the cards, or is this the start of a new era? Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to break this down. We'll dive deep into Intel's victories, their setbacks, and the challenges ahead. We'll look at what's working, what's not, and what the future might hold for this tech titan. By the end of this wild ride, you'll have a much clearer picture of whether Intel is a screaming buy, a risky gamble, or something in between. We'll give you the insights you need to make your own call. So buckle up and get ready for the roller coaster that is Intel's future. Are you with me? Let's go. Now before we write off Intel completely, let's take a closer look at what's really happening behind the scenes. Sure, the headlines might make it seem like Intel's in trouble, but there's a lot more to the story than just a few bad quarters or some tough competition. In fact, Intel's been racking up some impressive wins lately, moves that could set them up for a major comeback. Even with all the challenges they're facing, Intel is still a giant in the tech world. Their influence stretches across the globe, and they're not about to give up their spot at the top without a fight. They've got some serious tricks up their sleeve, and they're not afraid to use them. From innovation in chip design to strategic partnerships, Intel is pulling out all the stops. First off, Uncle Sam's got their back. Remember the CHIPS Act? That's right, the government's pumping billions into domestic chip manufacturing, and Intel's getting a big slice of that pie. This isn't just a small boost, it's a massive show of support from Washington, signaling that Intel is a key player in America's tech future. This cash infusion is a game changer. It'll help Intel build shiny new factories right here in the good old USA, boosting production and creating jobs. These new facilities mean more cutting-edge chips, faster innovation, and a stronger domestic supply chain. And speaking of factories, Intel's going on a building spree. They're investing heavily in new facilities, not just in the US, but also in Europe and other parts of the world. This global expansion is all about staying competitive and making sure they can meet the world's growing demand for chips. They're determined to increase their manufacturing capacity and regain their position as the top dog in chipmaking. By ramping up production, Intel aims to outpace rivals and secure its place as a leader in the industry. But it's not just about brute force and bigger factories. Intel's also betting big on artificial intelligence, the hottest thing since sliced bread. They know the future is all about smart technology and they want to be at the center of it. They're developing powerful AI chips that can handle massive amounts of data, powering everything from cloud computing to next-gen consumer devices. Think self-driving cars, super smart robots, and all sorts of futuristic stuff. Intel's technology could be the brains behind the next wave of innovation, transforming industries and daily life. It's a high-stakes game, but if Intel plays their cards right, AI could be their ticket to a glorious comeback. With government support, global expansion, and a focus on the future, Intel's story is far from over, and the next chapter could be their most exciting yet. Okay, time for a reality check. While Intel's got some big wins under their belt, they've also had their fair share of blunders. One word, delays. Intel's had a tough time keeping up with their own production schedule. New chip releases have been pushed back, and that's never good news in the fast-paced world of tech. Customers hate waiting, and some have jumped ship to rivals who can deliver the goods on time. And speaking of rivals, let's not forget about AMD. They've been eating Intel's lunch in the processor market, especially in the lucrative world of data centers. AMD's chips are giving Intel a run for their money, and Intel's been struggling to keep up. But perhaps the biggest misstep of all, missing the boat on mobile. Remember when smartphones took over the world? Yeah, Intel wasn't really a part of that party. They were too focused on their traditional PC business, and it cost them dearly. Sure, they're trying to get into the mobile game now, but they're playing catch-up, and that's never easy. Let's face it, folks, the chip industry is a cutthroat business. It's a constant battle for supremacy, and Intel's got some fierce competitors breathing down their neck. First up, we've got AMD, the feisty underdog who's been landing some serious punches lately. Their Ryzen processors have been a thorn in Intel's side, offering comparable performance at a lower price. Then there's NVIDIA, the graphics powerhouse that's become a dominant force in AI and data centers. Their GPUs are the gold standard for gaming, machine learning, and all sorts of high-performance computing tasks. And let's not forget about TSMC, the Taiwanese manufacturing giant. They're the ones actually making the chips for companies like AMD and Apple. They're the muscle behind the scenes, and they've got a lot of clout in the industry. So where does Intel fit into all of this? They're still a major player, but they're facing pressure from all sides. Can they out-innovate, out-manufacture, and outmaneuver their rivals? That's the billion-dollar question. Every fighter has their strengths and weaknesses. So, let's break down Intel's, shall we? One of Intel's biggest strengths is their vertical integration. They design their chips, they manufacture them, and they sell them. It's like a well-oiled machine, or at least it's supposed to be. This gives them a lot of control over their destiny, unlike some of their rivals who rely on others to make their chips. But here's the flip side. That vertical integration can also be a weakness. See, when you're so used to doing everything yourself, it can be tough to adapt to change. And in the tech world, change is the only constant. Intel's been slow to innovate in the past, and that's allowed their competitors to catch up and even surpass them in some areas. Alright, enough about the past. Let's talk about the future. The world of microchips is evolving at a breakneck pace, and the next decade promises to be even more exciting than anything we've seen so far. So, what's Intel cooking up in their labs these days? The competition is fierce, and the stakes have never been higher. What game-changing technologies are they betting on to stay ahead of the curve and redefine the industry? Well, hold on to your hats, because Intel's got their eyes on some seriously futuristic stuff. They're not just thinking about faster chips, they're imagining entirely new ways to compute. We're talking about quantum computing, the next big thing that's going to make our current computers look like abacuses. Imagine solving problems in seconds that would take today's supercomputers thousands of years. Intel's pouring money into quantum research, hoping to crack the code and unleash a new era of computing power. If they succeed, it could revolutionize everything from medicine to climate science, but that's not all. They're also developing what they call AI superchips, processors built from the ground up to handle the demands of artificial intelligence and machine learning. These bad boys are designed specifically for artificial intelligence, capable of crunching massive amounts of data at lightning speed. We're talking about chips that can learn, adapt, and make decisions on their own. Think self-driving cars that can actually think, react to unpredictable situations, and make roads safer for everyone. Robots that can perform surgery with superhuman precision, helping doctors save lives in ways we never thought possible. And all sorts of mind-blowing applications, from smart assistants that truly understand you, to AI-powered research that accelerates scientific discovery. And here's a twist. Intel wants to become a major player in the foundry business, manufacturing chips not just for themselves, but for the entire industry. Remember TSMC, the guys who actually make the chips for Apple, AMD, and many others? They're the giants of the foundry world. Well, Intel wants a piece of that action. They're aiming to compete head-to-head with the biggest names in chip manufacturing. They're opening up their factories to other companies, inviting tech giants and startups alike to use Intel's advanced manufacturing capabilities. Offering to manufacture chips for anyone who needs them, Intel is betting big on becoming the go-to foundry for the next generation of technology. It's a bold move, but if it pays off, it could transform Intel into a chip-making powerhouse and reshape the entire tech landscape for years to come. Now let's not get ahead of ourselves. The road to $1,000 stock price is paved with potholes, and Intel's journey is no exception. There are some serious risks that could derail their comeback story. First off, global politics. The chip industry is a global game, and tensions between countries can throw a wrench into everything. Trade wars, sanctions, you name it, it can all impact Intel's bottom line. And then there's the ever-present threat of competition. The tech world is littered with the corpses of companies that couldn't keep up. Intel needs to stay ahead of the curve, constantly innovating and adapting, or they risk becoming the next blockbuster. And let's not forget about the elephant in the room: money. Developing cutting-edge technology ain't cheap. Intel's pouring billions into research and development, and there's no guarantee that it'll all pan out. If their big bets don't pay off, it could spell trouble for the company and its stock price. Alright folks, it's time for the million-dollar question, or should I say the $1,000 question. Can Intel's stock price really reach those dizzying heights? Here's the deal. It's possible, but it's a long shot. In the best-case scenario, Intel manages to fire on all cylinders. Their new factories come online on schedule, their AI chips become the industry standard, their foundry business takes off, and their quantum computing research yields groundbreaking results. In this rosy future, Intel reclaims its throne as the undisputed king of chips, and their stock price soars to unimaginable heights. But let's be real folks, there's also the worst-case scenario. The chip glut continues, competition intensifies, Intel stumbles in the AI race, their foundry business flounders, and their quantum dreams turn into a money pit. In this scenario, Intel becomes a shadow of its former self, and their stock price takes a nosedive. So there you have it, folks, the Intel story in a nutshell. It's a tale of innovation, competition, and high stakes. Will they regain their former glory? Will their stock price reach $1,000? Only time will tell. But here's what I want to know. What do you think? Are you bullish or bearish on Intel? Do you see them as a comeback kid or a fading giant? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, I'm not giving financial advice here, just sharing my thoughts on the market. Always do your own research before making any investment decisions.